Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Prayer to the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past, in order to understand the events that are currently happening on the earth, so that we may get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Just heard something pretty amazing, and wanted to come over here and talk to you guys about it, share a little information, and talking about the Pope and how the Pope, had made some little video, pretty much saying that if you can't find a priest, that it is okay to speak to the Most High or to God on your own without a mediator. So now, as you can see, that as the Most High has turned up the fire on the on the Gentiles, many of their dogmas and many of the things that they have taught for these hundreds and hundreds of years or thousands of years is now being turned on its ear. If it was okay to go directly to God in the first place, why put priests in the middle? It's kind of like, well, if there's no priests around, then I guess it's okay. You can go straight to God now. Just showing you how, men have interjected themselves and their own dogmas into these Christian churches. Catholic, Christian, it doesn't matter. All of them. I drove by one of my old churches, and this is what was posted on the door. The church will be closed until further notice. Please, no mass is canceled. Thank you. I've gone to Catholic churches, Christian churches. So one of the churches that we went through shows right here how the church is closed. You look inside, no lights, no nothing, no life. You look in the parking lot, no one's there. And which is pretty crazy because this is a pretty popular church where it's always something going on. And for the churches to be closed, and then one of their biggest, rules of going into for confessions and how important that is, and how you can't take the Eucharist or whatever else without going to confessions. It just shows you, how one thing can just turn everything upside down. How people can still try to sit there and believe these Christian religions, is beyond me. When you're going to the doors and the doors are closed, when they've said that God dwells in these houses in these four walls, that lets you know that he has the real power, has nothing to do with these churches. And like I said, to sit there and hear the Pope sit there and say something like that after all these hundreds of years of them mandating you have to go to a priest. See, when things are sunny, things are cool, and the Most High is allowing them to enjoy their blessing, then they're able to go ahead and make all the rules. But as soon as the Most High begins to turn up that fire, brings out this virus, then all of a sudden everything goes upside down. And this is just more confirmation when you hear the Pope saying something like this, just going against, their whole setup. And this is something they push on our people as soon as they got here, pushing their Caesarea. And now this is what you're seeing on the doors of many of these churches. Saw this, and this is absolutely hilarious. You got Jesus with the mask on. I said, how one virus can just turn everything upside down. Just shows you the times that we are in. We're about a little bit over a week until Passover. Starting next Wednesday evening, I was just trying to get your lamb and everything else. And then after that, we're going to start Feast of Unleavened Bread, where you're gonna, not eat any leaven for the week. And only the Most High knows where we'll be at next week at this time. We know that different parts of the country are getting affected, differently, but we know that it's all on the Most High. He has a plan. We don't necessarily understand it. We don't know exactly, well, we understand it, but we don't know how things are going to play out. So we just got to have faith in the Most High that He is, of course, we know that He has our best interest at heart and that He is going to redeem us very soon. Saw this right here, and it's so true. Christopher Columb virus, 1492. That's what the vast majority of the world doesn't understand. We've already gone through our, time of having the virus attack us and destroy us. That was something that the Most High gave to the 10 tribes. That's what He brought on them. And we already got hit with the virus, and you guys already had your Psalms 91 coverage. Like we said before, you're not going to get it again this time. You had it when you showed up the first time to take over this paradise that was hidden from you for so long. And in order to bring our numbers down so that you could take over, the Most High released the plagues on our people. These Christians and Catholics have had it so that, they've had their heaven. They've been able to skip over the law, statutes, and commandments. They've been able to skip over the Most High's chosen people. They've been able to do anything that they wanted to do for these last few hundred years. And now when the Most High says that time is up, He's going to redeem His people. We have to sit back and wait, study, watch what the Most High, is doing, be used in a positive way for His people, and for the chosen Hebrews are going to get this information, and for the chosen Gentiles are going to get this information. Try to be that light in this dark world as best as we can. But we know that we are surrounded by people who this is not for. And they're going to continue, with this life and hoping that things get back to normal as soon as possible. Well, this is their new normal now. And seeing things changing every single day, is the new normal. Having the true Hebrews, come out and give more knowledge and understanding while all their priests and pastors are now sidelined. That's what the Most High has really done a great job of doing, is He's minimizing the lies that the priests and the pastors, have been pushing, and He's given us an opportunity to share the truth and have this truth get out there even more. As we look at other channels, we still see a lot of, half-truths. They never want to go back to how these Americas were founded. They'll talk about the things that they've been doing recently, but they don't want to go back to the truth and what happened in 1492, what happened in 1619, and all the things that have been happening to the Most High's chosen people this entire time. That's why they've set up all their religions to skip over the law, statutes, commandments, and all the things that they were supposed to have been doing. And it's sad because, we've been telling people for so long, and now all of a sudden, these things are starting to hit, and that they're starting to, it's starting to hit them. They might not want to admit it. They're still not going to admit it because we already know that the days of Noah, most will not admit it until those first few drops fall on their face. Until the Most High really starts to show up and show out, that's when they'll finally admit it. But ultimately, they never have that opportunity to get that understanding because the Most High left them in the dark. If you've been enlightened, thank the Most High that you've been enlightened. I'm sure it's very difficult right now sometimes because we're dealing in a world of empty vessels. And these empty vessels seem to think that they know something when they know absolutely nothing at all. But now they're being forced. Some are forced to stay home. They can't go out and to shop like they wanted to. They can't go out to ball games like they wanted to. They can't put their kids in travel ball and then have that distraction as far as travel ball, whatever sports they're playing. Because now it's time for people to really sit down and spend time with their spouse. spend time with their children. And you're going to realize that very few people have any kind of, most people are very superficial. They don't have very much depth. So, to sit there and have really good conversations, people are going to realize real soon that they're married. If they're actually a vessel that's full of the Holy Spirit, full of the Father, they're going to realize real soon that everyone around them are nothing but a bunch of empty vessels. If all they can talk about are sports, which is many men, some women, but many men, that's their whole life. Well, now sports has been taken away from them. That God of sports has been taken away from them. And we know that sports, many people put those people up as gods. So that church was taken away from them. Businesses, well, many businesses now are, closing down or not functioning at 100% capacity. So now that God has been taken away from many people. If their whole thing was talking about their future and their retirement, and they were worrying about, hey, I'm going to retire in 5 years, and that was their God. Everything revolved around them retiring soon. That God has been taken away from them. Church, many people still steeped in all that, Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, all that stuff, Buddhism, Hinduism, all that stuff, that God has been taken away from them. Going to the gym every day, working on their bodies, trying to keep themselves looking beautiful. Now that God has been taken away from them. So see, many people still keep trying to act like this is, the coronavirus is fake, it's not true, it's this, it's that. Well, it's been used either way to take away all these different gods that other people have put in front of the Most High. Now people have more time to sit there and study the scriptures. But then when they open up the scriptures, it's like Chinese to most, because they don't know how to read the Bible. They haven't taken the time to read the Most High's chosen, Most High's words. So like I said, just think of all the gods that have been shut down in just the last couple of weeks. And how people's being a superficial vessel is really being put in the forefront when they don't have much depth. So like I said, when you see these doors closed, there's gods that have been shut down all over the place. And now it's time for men to be men and lead their families spiritually. And now many people are realizing that they're incapable of doing that. So now what? Now is the time, if you're being called, to get on your knees and pray to the Most High and ask Him for direction. Ask Him for, giving you that roadmap to be able to find Him. And if you're not being called, then keep doing what you do. Enjoy the last throes of your kingdom. Because, as we know, we got next, and the rest of the nations, I said, are being exposed for what they really are. Taking away all these gods. And it's funny listening to a lot of these shows like ESPN trying to make up online. I actually have ESPN online on YouTube, and it's just funny them trying to make up stories because they got to try to fill up all their time, and they're just grasping at straws, looking for anything to find some kind of entertainment. Because, like I said, that God has been taken away. So it's just been it's an amazing time. And so we know we got a little bit over a week before the Passover, and the world is disintegrating at a very rapid rate. I think people are getting an opportunity to search for the Most High, get information right now, but what's going to happen after that, only the Most High knows. All praises to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.